Okay, in this video I'm going to take a quick tour through an EDC17 file. It's from VW Tiguan. If I remember rightly, it's a 2-litre TDI 170 brake horsepower common rail, but I may be wrong. I'm just guessing at that without bothering to look it up. Now if I go through, I'll just click here to move us along, look for anything of any real interest. What we've got here are the error paths, which would be obviously important or interesting if you wanted to delete error codes. I won't stop and talk about everything as I go because the video would last for hours. These are probably P codes. They might be VAG codes or they might be P codes, but they're all part of the error coding system. And here we've got a repeat of the same sort of codes, and again they might be P codes, they might be VAG specific codes, but similar sort of thing as the last set. What you tend to get with these is either completely separate P codes and VAG codes in two separate tables, or sometimes you find that they're a little bit muddled up, so you've got two tables but there are P codes and VAG codes in one and P codes and VAG codes in the other. It doesn't matter because they both feed into the same set of error paths, so if you're changing an error path you're changing either this block or the previous block, it doesn't make any difference. Right, if we keep wandering through, let's see what else we can find. I've highlighted some things in yellow here just to make it easier as I go by, otherwise I will forget. So here we've got driver's wish maps, so 1, 2, 3, probably 4 driver's wish maps. This one could well be for 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and this could be reverse gear. Because it looks quite a lot like the first 4, I'm guessing that it's probably reverse gear, and that these are spread over the car's gears, and this one is completely different, and you can see it looks slightly different because it's for 4-wheel drive. Right, let's see what else we've got. We should see, now these two are unusual if you're not used to EDC17. They are air control maps connected to the way the exhaust gas recirculation works, but they don't look like ordinary exhaust gas recirculation maps. The exhaust gas recirculation maps look pretty much like what you'd see in EDC16, and there's a whole collection of them here. There's another one there. So they're the exhaust gas recirculation maps. I keep wandering through here. We've got a collection. These are exhaust gas recirculation type maps. They all play a role in allowing the ECU to determine whether the exhaust gas recirculation is within the laid down parameters. And of course it has to do that because in many countries in the world, by law, exhaust gas recirculation has to be used to keep emissions under control. So this is all part of the emissions regulation and control. Here we've got some hysteresis maps which control what the exhaust gas recirculation maps are doing, so they help control the EGR maps. I keep whizzing through. This is probably, you can tell these very sharp peaks here, it's probably torque to injection quantity conversion, so we've got 2 of those. There may well be more. They could be standard ones or they could be for regeneration, so we'll see if anything else pops up later. Here's the torque limiting map. This one's got 4 little bumps. Quite often they've got 3, sometimes just 1. That was the torque limiting map. Let's see what else we've got. We will gradually run into, these are all connected with injection, so these are our injection maps. We will get many injection maps. I'll go into that when I talk about injection in a bit more detail, but there's a lot of injection control maps in common rail engines, so you can expect an awful lot of those. There's a lot I haven't bothered to highlight. These will mostly either be to do with regeneration or they will be factors or values that adjust the previous maps. So in other words, there will be some kind of adjustment map, and you get an awful lot of those as well. Right, if we keep going through, we should eventually come across something that's going to look vaguely like boost control. Oh, no, not yet. Nearly there, I should think. They must be here somewhere. Oh no, there we are. What we've got there are, or what is, the duration map. Now in this particular ECU file, this duration map is used for all the different types of injections. So whether it's pilot injection, main injection or post injection, the maps all take their duration values from this one map. It's not unusual to find several versions of this map in a file, but this file's only got one. Alright, so let's have a look. Oh, there we are. There's boost control. That's probably an N75 boost control map. There's another one there, another one, another one, another one there. There might well be there's another one. There's quite a few of those because there's quite a lot of changes to do with boost and boost control, usually because of regeneration. So you can expect to find quite a few of those, which means there's probably going to be quite a few boost maps. And there's a boost map there. There's one there that's not functioning. Another one there, another one, another one. What have we got? There's another one, and another one there, and that looks like that's another one. Now, what have we got here? That looks like it might be the limiter. So there's our boost limiter. So we've had several boost maps. So we've had boost control maps, then boost maps, and now we've got our boost limiter. So typical sort of thing you might see with EDC17. So not that different to an EDC16 really. Right, if we keep going through, let's see what else we've got. Here we've got what I'll probably torque to injection quantity conversion maps again. So we've had two, and here's two more. It's possible the previous ones were for regeneration and these are for normal running. Let's keep going through here, see what we've got. Now what we've got here is these are usually all to do with rail pressure. Now the first one is very often the maximum rail pressure, but you'd have to compare it to any others to find out. And this one here, when it's present, is very often just the value of the maximum rail pressure in the system that would ever be available, limited simply by the mechanics of the system. So in other words, that's related to whatever pump was fitted to that car. But this one is very often the actual maximum that would actually really be possible for that particular car or that particular pump. It may not be the maximum one. I'd have to look at them to see, but the reason being is that if we look, we'll see that we've got a variety of others. There's another one there, there's another one, another one, and another one. So you'd have to look at the values to find out which one is likely to be the maximum. Sometimes you find they're all the same, so there is only one maximum, but looking at these, they look slightly different. So they're all rail pressure maps. These two that go up in little steps like this and reach a peak and then come down again, they sometimes stay high or they come back down again. There again, maximum rail pressure available in the system at any given rev per minute or injection quantity. So they're like a sort of an overall figure of limit, as if to say, you know, at this point you can't go over this limit and at this point you can't go over that limit. So they're like a sort of little mini limit for that. See, and here we've got the smoke map. If I remember rightly, this one is air pressure dependent, so this would be your injection quantity limited by the amount of air available, but as assessed by pressure rather than by the air mass flowing through the MAF or the mass airflow meter. And we've got what looks like a starting map and then a second starting map. This second one here is very often very similar to the first, but is designed to be helpful in the event of a push start or a tow start. And then we must be getting near the end now. Now these look like they're swirl maps, so they're to do with the swirl control system used on the car. these very often are followed by a series of others that look flat. In other words, these are probably the same sort of maps, but they've been set at a maximum. So whereas this shows what is probably opening and closing of the flaps, these are not opening and closing, they're just set at a maximum value. And I should think we're getting pretty near the end of the file now. There's probably another one of those swirl control maps, and then by now I think we've probably come to the end. Yep, so that's the end of that particular file. Now that was a very brief run through, because what I will do is in the further videos I will take each map or group of maps in turn and go into more detail about that particular one. So I'll stop there.